Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video. Today is going to be another video dedicated to some of my anticipated releases for this year. I was going to do a video like this in July talking about the releases I was excited for July, August, and September, but I ended up missing it and I kind of forgot that I was going to do that, so I'm a little bit behind. The releases we're talking about in this video are going to be for the end of August, September, October, and I think a little bit of November. So kind of all over the place. I feel like this list could change as the rest of the year progresses, but as of right now, where we are in the year, these are the releases I'm the most excited about for the upcoming months. So I decided that it would be a fun video to talk about them. I think I have 12 releases here, and like I said in the videos I've done previously this year, these are the books that I am like very certain I will probably buy and actually spend my money on reading. These are the ones that I am really excited about. I don't want to include too many books that I'm on the fence about because I'm trying to be better about releases that I've been buying. So these ones are like high on my radar. Without further ado, let's get into some of my anticipated releases. Okay, so first up we have Writing the Nightmare by Lisa Tuttle. This is coming out August 22nd, and I am very excited about this one. This is a short story collection, but this is by the same author who wrote A Nest of Nightmares, which I read last year, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. I loved the short stories in here. I thought they were all so well done and so creepy, and I was just obsessed. It's one of the best short story collections I've ever read, and after I finished it, I was like, I need more Lisa Tuttle in my life, and I own another book by her. It is a Paperbacks from Hell, and I'm very excited to read that too, but when I saw that Lisa Tuttle was coming out with another short story collection, I knew I had to get it. I just love her writing so much, and I think her stories are really great. So I am very excited about this one. Next up is Black Sheep by Rachel Harrison. This one is coming out September 12th, and of course I will be buying this. Rachel Harrison is one of my favorite authors of all time. I have absolutely loved everything she's written so far, and I feel like you all know my love of Cackle. Cackle is one of my favorite books of all time. I'm obsessed with that book. I think it is truly amazing, and honestly, from the first book by Rachel Harrison that I've read, I've just been so in love with all the other books that I've read from her, so I just know that I will be buying this because of course. So this book is about the main character Vesper, who at 18 left home and never looked back. She grew up in a very heavily religious community, and she ends up getting an envelope on her doorstep with an invitation to her cousin's wedding, and so she decides to go back home to the family that she left behind. I am, again, very excited. I feel like I'm gonna probably love this. I can't imagine not loving this one. I can't imagine like really disliking it. If Rachel Harrison writes like she always does, I just feel like I'm gonna probably love this one. She just has the best balance of like cozy horror, great characters, emotional tugging at the heartstrings moments and topics, and I just really love how she approaches her books, so I am very interested and will 100% be buying Black Sheep when it comes out. Next up is a book that I actually have a physical ARC of, and that is Rouge by Mona Awad. This is coming out September 12th, and Mona Awad is an author that I have a very interesting experience with. I read Bunny, and I wasn't the biggest fan. I know everyone really loves Bunny, but I just had a hard time following it and understanding it and like enjoying it. But then I recently read All's Well, and I actually really enjoyed that one. I gave it 4 stars. So I feel like this one is going to be very telling on how I feel about Mona Awad and her writing style, but this is a gothic fairy tale. It's about the main character, Belle, whose estranged mother unexpectedly dies. I guess the death of her mother sends Belle down this like downward spiral of looking into beauty and youth and that kind of stuff. It sounds very, very interesting. On the back it says it's Snow White meets Eyes Wide Shut. So, and it's going to deal with the dark side of beauty, envy, grief, and the complicated love between mothers and daughters. Sounds very interesting. Mona Awad's writing style is very unique and very fever dream-like, and sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't, obviously. So I'm hoping this one is a hit. It sounds like it could be a lot of fun, and I'm very grateful that I was sent an ARC from Simon & Schuster, so I get to test it out, and hopefully I'll really enjoy this one. Then we have Penance by Eliza Clark. This is coming out September 26th. I believe it is already currently out in the UK, but this is the American release date, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about this book or like what it is about. I feel like it could be hit or miss. It's technically like a mystery literary kind of story, which, you know, sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So I believe in this book we are following a journalist and we are reading hours of interviews and research and all that kind of stuff, and we get to see their viewpoint of everything about this murder, and it says the only question is how much of it is true. So I'm assuming we're going to be following a journalist as they are putting the pieces together and just kind of like taking us step by step through this murder and this mystery. And I don't know, it sounds very interesting. It sounds super different from what I typically read, but I also really like this kind of topic in fiction. So I have high hopes, but I'm also a little bit nervous for it, but I want to give it a chance. I don't know if I'll go out and buy it immediately, but it is on my list to check out. I feel like this one is not going to surprise anyone. Everyone's been talking about this and I'm so excited for it. It's Out There Screaming, an anthology of new black horror from Jordan Peele. It's coming out October 3rd. This has a ton and a ton of authors in here, like Erin E. Adams, Tananarive Due, people that I don't think I've read anything from yet as well, but there are a lot of authors in here, a lot of well-known authors that I'm very, very excited to check out. I feel like this is going to be a really good short story collection, and I love short story collections, so I'm actually super, super, super excited for this. And of course I love Jordan Peele, so I just feel like this is going to be a really good one. I'm really excited for it. I will be buying this immediately because I think it is going to be so good and I am so ready for it to come out. This next one, I'm really not sure if I will pick up immediately. I don't think so because I'm very hesitant on it, but I think I might give it a chance later, and it is A Haunting on the Hill by Elizabeth Hand. It's coming out October 3rd. So apparently this is the first ever authorized novel to return to the world of Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of The Haunting of Hill House. I thought the book was super boring. I'm just not a big fan of it. It's something that I have a hard time with in gothic horror. It's either too boring or, I don't know, it just doesn't feel gothic enough sometimes. So it's like a weird middle ground that I have to have for gothic horror. But I do kind of want to see how this plays out because I feel like it's going to have a lot of the same things about The Haunting of Hill House, but in a different way. So I don't know, I'm very intrigued by it. So apparently this is about the main character, Holly, who is a struggling playwright, and she is developing this play, The Witch of Edmonton, and she receives a grant to develop her play. So she stumbles across Hill House on a weekend getaway, and she is immediately like, yes, this is it, I need this, this is it, this is the one, perfection. But Holly's girlfriend isn't isn't super like keen on the idea. She's kind of like, I don't know if we should do this, but she reluctantly agrees, and they end up renting the house for a month. And as the actors show up and they're all dealing with their own issues, I guess some things are gonna start happening in the house. So I think it sounds very interesting. I would like to give it a try. I am a little hesitant because I'm not the biggest fan of The Haunting of Hill House, but I do want to try it. I think it sounds very interesting, and hopefully it works a little bit better for me. I'm not sure, but I do want to give it a try. This next one, I love the cover. I think the cover is so beautiful, and you all know how I feel about beautiful covers. This is Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. This is coming out October 3rd. The cover, stunning. So this is going to be horror and Celtic myth. Basically, this woman is driving home late at night, and there is a corpse on the country road that she is driving. So she takes the corpse to a remote farmhouse, and things happen that this woman never speaks of ever again. 2 decades later, this woman, Betty, is new at college in Dublin, and she's dating this other woman named Aisling, and Aisling is basically keeping Betty away from her family, and she doesn't want her to meet her mother, who is the woman that took the corpse to that farmhouse from the road. Yeah. So Betty is basically going to learn about this family's like secret and Aisling's obsession with whatever's going on. I don't know. It sounds very creepy. It sounds very weird. Kind of creeps me out. And I love the cover, and I think it sounds really, really cool. So I'm very, very excited about this one. Next up, we have Nestlings by Nat Cassidy, which is coming out October 31st. And I really like the cover of this one, but I really enjoyed Mary by Nat Cassidy. So I'm very interested in this one. It says it's going to have the creeping paranoia of Rosemary's Baby and the urban horror of Salem's Lot. So this is about the characters Anna and Reed, and they have just had their first baby, and the birth was very complicated, and it left Anna paralyzed and very bitter and very resentful, and her relationship with Reed is just not doing well. However, they've won an apartment in one of Manhattan's most prestigious buildings with, you know, beautiful architecture and views and all that jazz. But I guess, you know, there's some unnerving, eerie things happening. So it basically says that Reed dismisses Anna's, you know, paranoia and unease, and then it says, but he can't explain the needle-like bite marks on the baby. So there's gonna be some weird things going on in this book. It sounds like it could be really good though, and I have high hopes because Mary was so good and I had fun reading it. So I'm very excited for this one. I think it could be a good one. Next up, we have The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. This is coming out October 31st. I don't know too much about this one, and honestly, I kind of want to keep it that way. I really love Tananarive Due's writing, and I kind of like going into her books a little bit on the blind side. I actually really like going into most books blind, so I'm trying not to give too much about these away because I don't want to spoil myself. But I went in blind into The Good House, and now it's one of my favorite haunted house books of all time, so I don't want to know too much about this book. It says it follows Robert Stevens Jr. as he's sent to a segregated reform school that is a chamber of terrors where he sees the horrors of racism and injustice for the living and the dead. So that's all I really know about the book. Like I said, I want to be blind going into this one because I just think it really works for me to experience Tananarive Due's writing just like blind and not have any preconceived notions going into the book. But I'm very, very, very excited about this one. I think she's an incredible writer, and I will 100% be buying this immediately. The next one is something I also have a physical ARC of, and it is Where He Can't Find You by Darcy Coates. This is coming out November 7th, and I basically screamed when I got this in the mail because I love Darcy Coates. She is like my all-time favorite author, and I've never gotten a physical ARC of Darcy before, so I'm literally like just really overwhelmed and like very thankful that Sourcebooks Fire like sent me this. It was just like kind of a shock. I was just so overwhelmed, but I am so excited about this one. It's actually a YA, which I am very excited about. I love YA horror and I love Darcy, so I just feel like she's gonna do a really great job with this one. So this is about the main character Abby, who lives in this town where a bunch of people disappear. Like, it's just a natural thing that just disappearances happen. However, when they are found, these people have been dismembered and then sewn back together in like really bizarre ways. They call the person doing it the Stitcher, and Abby's sister Hope ends up disappearing, and no one's really looking for her. Again, disappearances are just a normal occurrence, so I guess Abby decides to go looking for her sister Hope, and she gets into a game of cat and mouse with this Stitcher person. I love Darcy. I love her writing. I love her characters. I love her stories, and I think this actually sounds really creepy, and I'm excited because I feel like YA horror, it can be amazing if an author can actually push the boundaries that I want them to push. So I have really high hopes for Darcy being able to pull off what I want, and I'm so excited to read this one. I'm so excited to have it. Like, I'm just so thankful and just overjoyed. This one is another YA, and it's There's No Way I'd Die First by Lisa Springer. This is coming out September 5th, so we're jumping backwards a little bit. Sorry about that. I'm going out of order. But this one sounds very fun. It says it's a contemporary horror that follows a scary movie buff as she hosts an elaborate Halloween bash on her family's estate, but soon finds the festivities upended when she and her guests are forced to test their survival skills in a deadly party game. This sounds like a movie that I would watch, and honestly I probably have seen something semi-similar to this, but also it kind of just makes me feel like the character is going to be what I assume I would be like. I always imagine that if I was in situations that other characters are in books or in movies, like what I would do, and I feel like this character is gonna be me because she's like a horror movie buff, right? So she's gonna be like, I know all about horror movies, I know what to do, I know this, I know that, and I just feel like that's how I think a lot, and I feel like a lot of other people who watch horror do that as well. They're like, well, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't do this. Like, I've seen so many horror movies, I could definitely survive. So I actually just think this is gonna be really funny, but like in a great way. Like, I just feel like a lot of horror fans are gonna probably eat this up, and I feel like we're all gonna feel very drawn to this story. So I'm very excited about it. I think it sounds so much fun, and I just think it sounds cute, and I just feel like it's gonna be a good time. So this last one is Never Whistle at Night, an Indigenous dark fiction anthology. This is coming out September 19th, and it's by Shane Hawk, and there are a lot of authors in here that I have heard of. Some of them I've read from, I believe Sherry D. Moline is one of the authors who I absolutely adore, and everything I've read from them has been so good. Morgan Talty is another author that I recognize. I have one of their short story collections, but I haven't read it yet. There's definitely a lot of well-known authors in this collection, but I think it sounds so interesting. I love short story collections. I find them just to be so much fun, and I feel like when they're really well done, they're just so excellent. And the cover of this one is beautiful. It's so incredible. But I just am really excited to read more Indigenous authors, and I just think this will be a great introduction for a lot of people because there's so many different authors in there that you'll be able to find at least one that you connect with and love their writing of. So I'm just really excited to try out more authors and find more that I obviously am obsessed with and that I want to read more from. So I am so interested in this short story collection, and I think it's going to be incredible, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Alright, my friends, I know that was a very short list. I know it was probably shorter and smaller than you anticipated. I tried not to give too much away about the books. I tried to go through them quickly. I'm trying to condense these anticipated releases to the ones that I am super duper duper excited about and the ones that I know I'm gonna like actually go out and purchase, or maybe even just check out from the library if I don't know if I'm really gonna want to spend money on it. But these are the ones I know I'll end up reading eventually, even if I don't read them right the minute they come out. They are releases that I just think sound incredible. I'm super excited. This list also includes authors that I've already read from and enjoyed and loved, so I just wanted to make this more of a concise list and not have too many maybes involved, like maybe I'll check it out, maybe I won't. I feel like sometimes these lists can be overwhelming and sometimes I just don't get to the books, so I am trying to make these more realistic and just more simple and books that I'll actually check out. So that way I'm not giving you a list that I'm not even gonna read. So hopefully you still found this enjoyable, even if it's not a ton of titles, but these are the books that I am very excited about coming up in the next few months. I'm sure I'll probably do another one of these videos here semi-soon because none of the books on this list are coming out in December, so maybe I will make another one of these closer to the end of October or November. So if you enjoy these and you want to see more of these from me, please give me a thumbs up. That way I know you enjoy them so I can keep providing them for you and keep filming them and keep this video idea in the back of my head so I can film them for you every few months. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I also have a Patreon link down below. We can become friends, talk about books, horrifying books, thrilling books, romance books, manga, all that good fun stuff. And with that being said, I hope you are having a great day, night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!